Why didn't Britain and France declare war on the Soviet Union after the Soviet Union invaded Poland? Not at the same time as Germany. They invaded like a couple weeks in between, like a couple weeks. But let's not talk about the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, because that's not really relevant here. But they didn't declare war because the Soviet Union invaded with the casus belli that they were going to protect Ukrainian-speaking and minorities and Russian-speaking minorities in Poland, because after the Treaty of Versailles and the end of World War One, a lot of the Russian lands were given to the Polish. Like the borders of Poland were very much structured towards the east after World War One. Obviously, Germany lost some lands and Russia lost some lands, but Russia lost more lands than Germany after World War One. And after that, the Soviet Union, the foreign minister, or I don't know what they call it, like there was some person in the Soviet Union that was an official, he said, the Polish state, he's so cynical, like it's such a cynical argument, like this is such a cynical argument, but he said, since the Polish state no longer existed, there was no one to declare war on. Very smart. Like, they technically didn't exist anymore because the Polish state was dissolved. At that point, the Germans had already occupied most of the country. I think maybe Warsaw was still holding out, but it was just a matter of time. They had already partitioned the borders based on the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact agreement. So everything was already agreed in advance. But the Soviet Union wanted the Polish and the Germans to wear each other out and to fight each other and to basically cause each other big casualties. And then the Soviet Union would swoop in afterwards to fight the weakened victor, the one that's weakened. They were hoping that the Poles would put up such a good fight against the Germans that the Germans would take so many casualties and they would be effectively weakened as a result of those operations. But they miscalculated a little bit. They definitely miscalculated, like a little bit. They definitely miscalculated. I didn't really learn that in this book of The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. I saw it online, but it's true. Like, it's a very cynical argument, but it's accurate because the Polish state no longer existed when the Soviet Union invaded. And then they used the casus belli of saying that they wanted to protect minorities and Russian-speaking minorities and Belarusian minorities in the Polish territories that the Polish state no longer existed. So they felt like they wanted to come in to protect them. That's their casus belli, which was an effective one because it meant that the Allies didn't declare war on the Soviet Union because their argument was pretty sound. Even though it was a very cynical argument that wasn't, not realistic, but it was very cynical. I'm not sure which page that is, like, the turn of Poland. Yeah, it's basically talking about all of the little prerequisites and stuff that happened before Hitler was planning the invasion of Poland, like, since 1937 or something. He was always going to invade Poland. Even if they gave up Danzig, it didn't matter. It wasn't even about Danzig, bro. It was about taking down the Polish state because he wanted to reverse the Treaty of Versailles. Simple as that. But very cynical. The Polish state no longer exists, so we're just going to invade. Very cynical, but effective.